Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and this is Joshua with Popular Packers. You can call me Knox, as I do prefer going by my alias. However, this is going to be a little bit of off the topic, but because my channel has been so focused on the Green Bay Packers and I have so much else going on in my life, I've kind of really wanted to segue, although very poorly here, into maybe another genre. Again, though, I love YouTube. I love spending time on here. The biggest thing is that I started because I found that on YouTube I could learn things a lot quicker than I would learn elsewhere, and like in other states of being, I suppose. I'm not really good in front of classrooms. I don't like being given homework. If it's not of interest to me, I'm not going to do it. And which leads me into the point of this video. I've spent a lot of time reading throughout my years, but I've also been in pursuit of what I call the authentic self. The authentic self might just be best described as a sort of potentiality of our human body, or asana. In order to pursue an authentic self, it does require commitments. It could be simple or complex, just depending on what you want to put in your corner moving forward. But the real original pursuit could start very original. It might even seem ordinary to most people. But in ancient times, those that would study the pursuit of a guided, like with a guided daily yogi, would actually live within their exchange. Not within their exchange, but they would exchange something in return. So a lot of times it's depicted in movies or cinematically as though there is a master who comes and lives within the walls of the teacher, or abides by a rule within the home of the teacher. And a lot of times it's like they just have a fire going all the time, and as long as the student can keep the fire going, and it's to teach you a principle, and that basic principle is about energy. So the authentic self is all potential, but it's not always utilized. It's not at its most utility because we harness all these other energies. And in the recognition of those that have been able to utilize their energy and gain a lot, I think get deemed and dogged and, trotted on, because we're also paranoid that we don't have what they have. And a lot of times what I believe that most others I find don't, or just haven't made sense of yet, is that those that in our definition have achieved something or have made the money, Jim Carrey is a great example, Lady Gaga, Denzel Washington, doesn't necessarily take away from the fact that they have actually experienced life. We see them on the stage and we think that they live in that stage, when the reality is that they are actual people and with bodies, and they have quite possibly achieved what we would call the authentic self. It might, in all argumentative nature, have come to them easier, those that, like myself, live in the day in day out world. That is not always a horrible thing to say when you take into the fact that it's just a matter of effort. We are what we think about, right? I believe that. If you don't, then I suggest you go find your path to seeking that. But the truest definition here is that we are what we think about. And if you're focusing daily on, oh, this is my phone, then you're probably going to end up with that phone. And if you're going to be focused on girls and dating, then you're probably just dating a lot. And, but then you're also expending that, which means that you're going to give up all of what you've earned for that energy force. And that's really what actually happens in the world. So getting back to the authentic self again, what that actually means is that as a asana, as our body, the utility of our body in coordination with our breath or life force, pranayama is the life force. So we can utilize those and recognize those more consciously and keep them in balance, then a couple things always tend to happen. We always tend to be a lot more healthy. We're just health conscious. We don't, you know, always have to focus on it and put all of our efforts into it. But then, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit, but the point is that we want to maintain our energy within the balances of what we put ourselves in. You know, we always want to. I find that a lot of people that have lots of negative energy, they're just harnessing all this anger and resentments towards this or that has happened to them in the past, and that's in and of itself the primary definition of what is preventing you from being your most authentic self. If we're reacting to elements, then we're not going to be being ourselves. And to be being ourselves most consistently and accurately, that's by definition just an integrity. It's having basic moral recognition and, in all honesty, different elements as you move up the chain, the way it's designed or not designed, but biologically incorporated within our body, then we're able to utilize that in new form. And that's creating possibilities. So we have different energy forces in our body, and in order to really be in alignment, it does take daily practices of speaking out loud, of speaking things into existence by goal setting, taking actions. It does also require things such as circulation focus, which is meditation, where you're really conscious of your breath. Close your eyes, take those deep breaths, and, you know, don't always take on the energies of everybody else. That's easy for me to say. I'm not here to coach or teach, but I found it very interesting as I have been opening up new bodies of work, pranayama, the breath of yoga, the hermetica, which are all older philosophies, but all in all, I find that the more that I open myself up and read and utilize the knowledge of others, then I'm able to grow, and that's really the whole principality of any of this. The most best way I could explain the authentic self to you would be that in order to be your authentic self, you must sheath or shave off all of that retrospective irritation that you hold onto. Anything that prevents you from doing what exactly you want to do at any given moment, like truthfully, and not just living in the shadow of someone else's desires and wants. That may sound selfish, and to be honest, in the way it actually very much is. However, if your intention, if your pursuit is that worthwhile, that in order to utilize all of the capacity of your most authentic self is that big, and it's causing disturbances, then that in and of itself is, you know, an ego trip. We need to recognize within the authentic self that we are small. We are but a, you know, fragment of the water within the wave, and we're a collective. So if I'm able to do anything here is to entertain and keep everybody happy and smiling, but my truth behind the shadows, in my daily life, I do a lot of reading, I work really hard, and I try to get out and enjoy myself in free, confined, and safe spaces. And I find that no matter what I've been needing to do, I don't run into that same elemental force. But I'm not going to cut this too long. Right here, about 10 minutes. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll do a little bit more of this. But thanks for watching. Peace.